Hey, what's up? I hope you guys are doing super well. So, I just wanted to talk to you guys today about the whole return to office thing. You guys probably know that, if you work an office job, you're going to be returning to office soon. Either it's already been announced or they might announce it soon. I don't really know how it works exactly in your workplace, but it's probably coming your way pretty soon. And like it's kind of come my way because like the company that I'm at, like I don't really want to mention the name of the company just because I'm not really focused on like specific companies in this video. I'm just trying to sort of have a rant about the whole practice of return to office. The company that I'm working at right now, they're saying that they want everyone to return to the office in January. And I think that's kind of a silly idea because just having people return to office 5 days a week for a job that can be done on a computer is just really kind of silly. I don't really understand the whole rationale behind it for a lot of the reasons they say, or for a lot of reasons try to justify it. It's not really good reason. It's just like, corporate culture. There is really no culture in an office. It kind of is what it is. Like, you got small company culture and like maybe medium company culture and kind of big company culture, but between different small companies and different big companies, it's all kind of the same for, those respective company sizes. It's all basically the same. So I don't really buy the whole culture argument because I'm going to argue that there really is no such thing as a corporate culture for like any meaningful way for actual employees. And one of the other reasons I kind of have against the whole return to office thing is it's just gonna exclude people who can't really drive for whatever reason. So it's like, okay, if you can't drive, then you're kind of just out of luck because you gotta find some other way to get to the office. And if it's taking a bus, and like, okay, you could consider taking a bus, but it's still just gonna be an extra hassle that you wouldn't really have to deal with if you could just drive. And like the bus system here, like you gotta drive to the bus stop anyways, so it kind of defeats the whole purpose of not driving a car because you still have to drive a car anyways. Then again, the point isn't really to include or exclude anybody explicitly. It's kind of like corporate people serving their own best interests. So they made a bet on corporate real estate a long time ago, and so to keep paying the leases, or they probably have to like pay a huge fee to get out of the lease. Kind of like the same with like non-corporate apartments. They really don't want to do that, so they're passing on the cost of their bungled investment to us, just like the normal average everyday employee. Man, that's something that's like sort of another thing they're doing. They just like sort of get off scot free with their dumb investment. While like if I make an investment in the stock market, it doesn't pan out. I just have to like eat the cost basically. I don't get to pass it off to anybody else. Actually have to follow the rules of capitalism on like these big old companies. Another the thing that kind of gives me pause about the whole return to office is just that I've seen, return to office like situations. So I've had a time worked at Chase Bank. Chase Bank, I'd never recommend anyone work there unless for some reason you really, really have to make some money yesterday, and then maybe it's a good idea, but long term, there's a better place for you to be no matter what. So just don't build a whole career there no matter what. But what I'm sort of getting at there is I was working remote when I was hired the first time at Chase, and they called everyone back into the office hybrid. And the first 6 months of the job that I was working the first time around was remote, just completely remote. But the second time, I mean not the second time, but when they called us back into the office hybrid styles, like 3 days a week in office, 2 days a week remote, things got kind of weird kind of quickly because the politics really changed really drastically all of a sudden for no discernible reason other than returning to the office, and maybe people were being promised raises that there wasn't really anything to back up with. So they're just like, okay, you got raises coming out of nowhere. Apparently, it's the promise of raises, and that kind of made people greedy, I guess. But yeah, people were just acting super weird. People were backstabbing each other, leaving like really bad performance reviews for no real reason. Just like a bunch of people teaming up against random people. That kind of happened to me later that year. I got a really bad performance review, even though like everyone else like told me to my face I was doing really well, and like the team was happy to have me and everything, but I come get like blindsided the performance review by a bunch of like really weird criticisms, maybe being a little bit awkward, appearing uninterested in meetings, which is super subjective. So just like a lot of stupid stuff like that was happening, and I just attribute a lot of that to that like radical shift in office politics to just being forced to go back to the office. People were probably just letting off the resentment on each other and just other stuff like that because they knew everyone knows that you can just do a programmer's job from home. You don't really need to be like in an office to do it. like even collaborating with other people, you can just kind of do that online, and like everybody kind of knows that you don't need to be in an office or at a conference room just to talk to someone over the phone. Or even if you got to do a whiteboard, you could probably do that once a month in office. You don't really need to do that every day, or you could just do it never in office. So it all just doesn't really make too much sense to me. Another sort of justification for the whole return to office thing that I'm kind of going to refute in this video is that it's just for managers and management's sake. But I think management is also somewhat harmed by coming back in the office 5 days a week, just because on paper it makes their job a little bit easier because they get to like just walk around and see who's doing what. But in practice, like people have different life situations, and like my current manager, for example, like he has a kid who gets sick kind of often because he's a young kid, has some sort of like digestive issue. It's just a pain for him because like, if he has to come back 5 days a week in office because his kid gets sick, and if his kid gets sick, what's he gonna do? Just like you have a babysitter all the time. I mean, like there's like fees for babysitting, and then like like he's a young kid, he probably wants his dad, so he's just gonna be a whole mess there too. So I'm really not sure how this all is gonna pan out. And what I'm really hoping is gonna happen is that like people just like quit corporate work and just like the corporate workforce wholesale, sort of leave the office and start their own little companies maybe, or their own YouTube channels like I'm trying to do, and we all just sort of support one another and help one another, like make a living outside the office, and we all just sort of have our own little mutual aid network that way. I hope it's going to pan out. I think it's a little bit unlikely in the U.S., but things are changing radically, like all the time. So I hope I'm pleasantly surprised, and we can all come together and help each other, because these companies are sure not going to do it for us. But I'd like to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. Like, just tell me what you have in mind. Tell me what your experiences have been, and it's like if you like this video, then be sure to like and subscribe. That's all I have for today. Thanks.